Hey everybody, we are here with Jill Billings today. She is running for the 95th Assembly District here in La Crosse. We'd like to thank her for coming to the La Crosse Chamber and answering our questions.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. So our first question, tell us about yourself and why you're running to serve in the State Assembly.
Right. Um, well, I grew up in southern Minnesota, a big family, 7 kids in our family. I was lucky to have parents who really taught us that hard work is good and good giving back to your community is a wonderful thing to do. And um, so after going to Augsburg College, I ended up moving to Wisconsin. And I moved here. I've lived here for 35 years and raised both my kids here, and they went to our great public schools. Now they're off doing their own lives. But I have really, um, I really enjoy living in Wisconsin. My family still teases me about coming home and running for office there, but um, I love it here. I moved to La Crosse and had a great job teaching English as a second language and citizenship to Hmong adults.
Okay.
And it was a great experience where I worked my way out of a job. My students went on to the tech college or they got jobs in the community. And I ended up um, then running for the county board. And I
Okay.
got to serve on the local level for 8 years. Wonderful experience. I mean, the county is a service arm of the state, so I learned about a lot of things that are related to my job now as a state representative. After 8 years on the county board, I got elected to the state assembly and I've been in the assembly for 13 years.
Okay. So tell us about the district you're running to represent. Obviously, you've represented La Crosse for a while. Now we have a new 95th. Tell us about it.
Yes, with the new fairer maps, my district has geographically gotten a lot bigger. I used to be able to ride my bike around my district of La Crosse, part of Shelby, and French Island. So now the southern part of La Crosse and Shelby is in the 96th to the south. My district is kind of central La Crosse. I lost a slice out of the north side to the 94th, and then French Island. Then after that, if you follow the interstate across the beautiful rolling hills, I've got Bangor, Rockland, Sparta, Cashton, Norwalk, Town of Leon. I've got about a dozen cities, towns, and villages, a half a dozen school districts, 2 counties. My district has changed a lot, and it's
Wow.
been exciting getting to know the 45% new part of my district.
Wow. So you do go into Monroe County as well. Okay.
Yes, I even have a piece of Fort McCoy's airfield in my district, so
Okay.
I get invited to the fort, and which has been really fascinating
That's
to learn more
awesome.
about that.
So, what do you think the biggest issue is facing La Crosse area in Wisconsin and our business community right now?
There are a few issues that are definitely facing our business community here in La Crosse. I think I'll pick workforce to talk about because I hear about that issue from so many areas,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's healthcare. We have 2 incredible healthcare facilities in La Crosse, and I know there are challenges there. So I'm happy that the governor and lieutenant governor have worked together to create a healthcare task force. Their recommendations came out about a month ago, and I thought I was really happy to see that Republicans and Democrats said there are some good things here. So I'm hoping when we reorganize, we can work on that issue. Also, I know that in the hospitality field, I know
Mm-hmm.
that I know of a couple places that have shut down because it's just so challenging to get workers. So, I think we need to invest in our K-12 schools to make sure we have good workers, educated workers, and then of course our tech college and our institutions of higher learning here in La Crosse with Viterbo and UWL would
Yeah.
help too.
So the cost of healthcare, housing, childcare, some of the largest issues facing our local employees and employers. How would you help decrease these everyday costs?
Well, for healthcare, it's an easy one, except the Medicaid expansion dollars. We've been making that argument for quite a while now,
Mm-hmm.
and we're leaving billions of dollars, our state taxpayer dollars, we're leaving them on the table. They're actually going to other places. So I think it's imperative that we, when looking at healthcare costs, that we accept those Medicaid expansion dollars. Also, I've worked on legislation with Senator Paff to cap copays on some drugs, prescription drugs that are out there. I know the federal government's done some work on that too. That's a bill where people stop me in the street when I introduce a bill to cap copays on insulin. People stopped me in the street and said, "Thank you for that bill." So I think that's an important thing. And then childcare. So this is a huge area for me. I'm the ranking member of Children and Family Committee. I've been to the White House on the state's convening on childcare. I was invited to go by the Biden administration. And I think we're doing some things that are working pretty well. I think childcare counts, the extra funding that came from the state government to help people keep the lights on, to help keep salaries high enough so that people didn't leave to get jobs at Starbucks where they could be paid more. That's really important. I know the last child care in Cashton closed last year, and that was devastating to that community. So
Yeah.
I think child care counts is a good initiative. I know the Partner Up program had some success, especially with child care facilities where they would pay for part of the child care of their workers and the government would match them, state government would match. That kept child care workers also working in the field. So I think that was a good initiative too.
Absolutely. So my final question is, in an increasingly polarized political climate, voters are concerned about the lack of civility and collaboration among elected officials. How would you work to foster a culture of respect and constructive dialogue within the state capitol? And how would you engage with constituents who hold opposing views to ensure their voices are heard?
Well, this is something that I am already working on. I have been working on from the moment that I was elected. I think because from my county board background, there are no D's and R's behind names. So you just get along. And also that's how I was raised in our family with 7 kids. You get along.
Yep.
My dad and mom made sure we did. So in the assembly, the way I do my work is I develop relationships with people on both sides of the aisle. Ed Brooks, who is now passed away, was a legislator who invited me to come to his district and stay overnight. And at that time, I didn't have a farm in my district. His was mostly farms. And he said, "I want you to learn about what it's like in my district." He came to La Crosse and learned about urban issues. And I took him to lunch. He bought me fish fry, and I stayed overnight with he and his wife in their spare bedroom, and we visited a dozen places. It was one of my best experiences as a legislator. And he's a Republican, I'm a Democrat. That's how I work. I'm in the minority. I got 3 bills through and signed by the governor in the spring. The only way I can do that is by working together and getting bipartisan support, co-authorship on my bills. And I've found legislators who I work with well who will help me with these really common sense good ideas that come from my district, from people in my district. I also, there have been occasions where during COVID, things got really heated and someone was on the floor attacking one of my members. And I talked to them and said, your predecessor would not have spoken this way on the floor. It's not really decorum to attack another legislator the way you did. And he apologized. And I think sometimes those gentle conversations go a long way, especially with new members who it's important for them to learn about decorum. There were 3 members who did not stand up when a widow of a governor was introduced, did not have the respect to stand up. And I talked to Speaker Voss about it because I know he cares about decorum like I do. And he talked to his members and said, this is not what we expect here. We want to rise to a higher place here. So those kind of things have worked out well. On my committees, I'm the ranking of Children and Family, the chair, and I get along really well. We have trust for each other. And I just learned this spring that we were the committee that's cited as the model of how committees should work, where we respect each other. When people come to talk about legislation they've introduced for public hearings, we'll ask questions, but we're not rude. We don't shut people down. And he and I, there was a child care conference in May, and he texted me and said, "Are you going to be there? Because it would be great if we could sit together and get these ideas that come from this national organization and work on them together in the assembly." So where some of the states were kind of seated apart, he and I were together, and we're sharing ideas and notes as we're listening to the speakers. This would work in Wisconsin. That one would be kind of difficult. We already do this well. Those kind of conversations. And by the end of the 2 days, there were more legislators that were sitting together like that. So
That's good.
it's wonderful to have people on both sides of the aisle that you can work with to get something done. And there are people who really want to do that. You just don't hear about it as often.
Yes, I'd agree with that. So finally, we want to thank you for coming to the La Crosse Chamber and answering these questions. I want to hand the floor back over to you and give you an opportunity to give a final statement if you'd like.
Well, I have been in office for 13 years, and I really I love this job. I think sometimes some of my family members want me to try something else so they can see me more often. But it's been an honor to serve the people of the 95th Assembly District, and I think I've done it well. Every 2 years, I decide if I'm going to run again, and this year it was with an excited yes in my mind, because I feel like I've gotten some good stuff done, and there's more I want to get done, and I'm ready to do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming today.
Thank you.